well, good morning. I'm Juan Sebastián, and today I'm going to present you a recent study that was made by the Journal of Transport of Geography, and it's based on the transitions to low carbon transport futures, and it shows the two cases: London in England and Delhi in India. So first, I'm going to show you the motivation for this study. First, because the developed countries are having lots of problems related with the contamination, not only about the industry, but also about the huge amount of cars that are now, because the urban planning is so bad, and because they have an economy based on huge industries like the oil companies and the cars industry and the construction industry that produce lots of contamination. And the undeveloped countries are having an economic growth that is causing that the cities are increasing their size. So basically, they are on time to avoid the car experience, the oil experience, and are on time to avoid that period and jump to a sustainable transport system way of thinking. So first, the London case, the population projection for 2050 are 9 million people. The current emissions are 44 million tons of carbon dioxide, and the transport cost emissions are 10 million tons. So it's a huge amount of contamination. And their goal for 2030 is having a 4 million tons of carbon dioxide. Okay, and they have an economic growth projection of 150%. So the experts are proposing a scenario case study where it's based on policy packages. So here first in the scenario one is based on better technology. So they are trying to implement low emission vehicles, alternative fuels and prices regimes. The scenario two combines the scenario one and new technologies based on most of them sustainable modes of transport. That is public transport systems, bicycles, strategic planning, walking, and so on. And the scenario three combines everything, and they add ecologic drive, long distance travel substitutions, and investment in freight transport. So the results for this, for the scenario one, as you can see, the emissions get reduced, but the distribution of the modes of transport is not so good. They are having still a lot of cars. In the scenario two, as you can see, the distribution of modes of transport, the use of the bicycle increase a lot, the use of walking increase a lot, and the use of cars reduced. In the scenario 3 is the more efficient scenario. In the first graph you can see the decreasing of the emissions. Okay, and second, we have the Delhi case. The current population are 14.8 million people. The projection for 2030 is 26 million people. And the current emissions are just 6 million tons, but the projections for 2030 are 26 million tons. So, and they are having an economic growth projection of 8% per year. So, the growth of the economy is huge. On the same, they are proposing the three scenario cases based on the same. The scenario one in better technology, the scenario two in sustainable modes, that is bike and walking, urban planning, and information technology, and the scenario three based on ecological drive, lower speeds in the city, and long distance travel substitutions. And here we have the results. The projections for 2030, the 26 million tons, and the scenario one based on better technology but not decreasing the amount of having a lot of emissions. In the scenario 3, that is the most efficient, they are just having like 9 million tons per year. And as you can see here, the distribution of the modes of transport, it's pretty good, and they have the advantage that they have lots of modes of transport. That is the motorcycle, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, the bicycle, the use of the walking, rail, bus, and so on. So here we have the final results. Here we can compare the projections for the emissions in the two cities. Here, as you can see, it's almost, if we can implement the scenario 3, the result for the emissions in both cities are pretty good. And here is the same in both cities. So the conclusions are that in order to implement these strategies, we have to make huge change or break in our trends, in our way of thinking about the use of the car, the use of the city, and the urban planning. It's essential the use of policy packages, because it gives the ideas like power to show it to the politicians, and we are still needing more efficient vehicles and alternative fuels in order to get to the scenario 3. So we have to invest more. And as I told you, Delhi is on time in order to avoid the car experience and implement more sustainable transport system and more sustainable cities. And collaboration between parties are essential. That means that England has to collaborate with India, and more generally, developed countries have to collaborate with undeveloped countries. And the Delhi case represents a good thermometer for undeveloped cities, for Asian and some Latin American cities, as Bogota. And London case is a good thermometer for European cities, and it demonstrates that the American cities are unsustainable, basically. Most of them. Not everyone, but most of them. And that's it. Thank you.
Questions? Do you have data on the case of Bogota?
Yes, but not here. But do you want to know anything?
I'd like to know a little bit more about the context here. I know that we're also having some trouble with our ways of transportation, but I would like to know a little bit more about that and which are the most cost-effective solutions for our case.
Okay. Here, we have a lot of cars, but not as much as in developed countries. Just only 10% of the population here in Bogota have a car. And the problem here is that the politicians are not investing as much as we need to have sustainable transport system. We are doing something with Transmilenio, with the SATP, and some of that, but we are still needing more money in order to increase the bike use, the walking use, and so on.
Okay, great, thanks.